Tanner, I mean, it's over.
Uh,
It's been a 5-week run. The ups and downs, the roller coasters. It's finally over, Tanner.
So much went on through this. And again, the fact that we were not supposed to get this until June or July, I am so glad. Well, either way, whether it would have been now or what it was now or back then, it was still fantastic. This is something that people needed now to kind of help fill that hole with no sports. And they did an absolutely fantastic job. And I really liked the 2 episodes per week, as you knew Sunday, 9 o'clock through 11 o'clock. You were watching that if you wanted to. But these last 2 episodes, what a great, if there's a way to end this perfectly, these 2 were great. So, starting with episode 9, it focused a little bit on the series with the Pacers that the Bulls had in 98. And then it also kind of focused on, it gave a lot more addition to kind of just that little rivalry series between the Jazz and the Bulls, and how Michael, as we've seen through the whole thing, Michael's spark was that Karl Malone won the MVP in 97. And Michael's like, well, then we're going to see if he really is the MVP. And then the Bulls win that championship. So I really liked that. And then I also liked one thing that might be a little underappreciated. They talked a lot about Steve Kerr. I love him as a coach personally. I think he's a fantastic coach next with the players. So it was great that he got his own segment to kind of talk about his background and his journey to really have to fight for his spot in the NBA with the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, and I knew about the Steve Kerr. Like, I knew his dad had passed away when he was in college, and I kind of knew that story to a certain extent. But it was good to hear a little bit more detail about it, learn a little bit more. I mean, yeah, that's just unfortunate for Steve Kerr. But I think, yeah, episode 9 was really good. The one thing that crushed me, the flu game. It's
food
not
poisoning.
The flu game. The food poisoning. It doesn't have the same ring to it. The food poisoning game, but I think the story is better. I think the story leading up to the game is better, but the name of the game, it's gonna stay the flu game, because the food poisoning game doesn't sound right.
No, definitely.
It doesn't ring.
I agree with you on that part right
but
there.
The story
for sure.
is better.
It really is. They really went in depth.
5
with the
guys
story.
to show up with a pizza. And why are you ordering pizza at 2 a.m. in Utah? Here's my question. Why didn't they use a fake name? Why didn't they use an alias? Why would you give away the name Michael Jordan?
I guess the funny thing is, Michael Jordan is still a very common, Michael's a pretty common first name and Jordan is, but I guess we'll never know. Obviously, I think that's something.
Who else was
players...
in a hotel at 2 a.m. in Utah ordering pizza?
You never know. You never know.
It was pretty obvious it was Michael Jordan. They should have used an alias, and they should have sent it to Tim Grover's room, his trainer's room, because there is no way. I'm not shocked he got food poisoning from that pizza. Come on.
So then, kind of going back to 1998. Of course, the Bulls won that series against the Pacers 4-3. So, kind of going to episode 10, the very last episode. I think both you and me can agree it was going to lead up to the 98 finals and leading to the shot that I personally think is one of the best moments for sure in the NBA and maybe even in the sports world. But I want to hear your thoughts first, because I've got some good points. But I want to hear your thoughts on the 10th and final episode of The Last Dance.
I'm shocked but glad they ended at 98 and didn't try to shove in his Wizards career afterwards. Yeah, I mean, he averaged 20 points a game with the Wizards and he wasn't bad, but I'm glad they ended it at 98 and didn't try to extend it by being like, let's talk about the Wizards. Also, the other thing about episode 10, it came out on last Sunday and it was finished the Thursday before. And I think that's insane to me. I mean, it reminds me of a project I had to do last year in college. We were doing a short film project for a film class. And we, me and my partner were finishing up until the last second. It was due at 5 p.m. the night before the premiere, and we were working until 5 p.m. the night before premiere. So I get it. I get that, but it's just I thought that was, it's insane that like they were like finishing it Thursday and airing it on Sunday. So, you know, that was crazy to me. The Jerry Reinsdorf comments right there at the end, I think were pretty big. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you on that. They're really big. They were kind of, you were never expecting this because, if you really didn't look into this documentary or even in the Bulls, you are kind of confused. Like all of a sudden they just drop. But seeing this whole thing, and as you said, the Jerry Reinsdorf comments really just kind of, that was one of the big things that stuck with me at the end of it. Really made me think. But because we talked about it a little bit, before filming this here, but yeah, it was kind of an interesting way, and it really makes you wonder what would happen if they went one more year for like a 1 year deal.
Yeah, they signed everyone to 1 year deals to come back. I struggle to say the Bulls automatically win the 7th championship. I don't want to bet against Michael Jordan, but I also don't want to say yes. Then because that the Spurs that won in '99, that Spurs team was real good. Like if you think about it, I mean, like if you look at who that was between David Robinson and Tim Duncan, like the Bulls don't have anyone to answer those two. I mean, the Spurs, I guess, threw Bruce Bowen at Michael Jordan, but like no one really to guard Michael in the same way either. So I don't want to necessarily a bet against the Bulls, but I also don't want to be like for sure they would beat, for sure 100% would beat the Spurs because Tim Duncan, Dave Robinson is a tough duo to beat.
No, definitely. And it makes you wonder because that's when other teams are starting to really go on the rise. The Pacers had a great couple of years. The Knicks also had a great run. Of course, the Spurs started building their dynasty. But as we get ready to kind of wrap up this episode and just wrap up with The Last Dance, I will say this again. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm glad that they decided to push this out now rather than have us wait till June, July. And I think my favorite Michael Jordan quote in that episode, and even probably just in the whole documentary, was all you needed was one match to start a whole fire. And that is, I won't say define his whole career, but it is a massive impact on it. So I loved this. I'm probably going to end up rewatching it and binge watching it all 10 episodes. So we will see. We will see if I do that. And when I do, I will make sure you know that. But fantastic. I don't know where they'll go from here for other documentaries. Got some great ones coming up. But The Last Dance, I applaud it. And it was just a fantastic run.
Yeah, if I were to say my favorite moment of the entire thing, probably has to be episode 1, just talking about MJ, where he came from, I think is my favorite part. I don't think episode 1 is necessarily the best episode. I think episode 7 is my favorite episode, to be honest. Well, episode 8 is my favorite episode, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it was really good all the way through. And let's hope Tom Brady's 9-part docuseries that comes out next year is as good as this, and we can talk about it for 5 weeks also. Yeah, no, that was really good.